Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello there, coward.
You are now listening to Retro Radio.
Welcome to another edition of Retro Radio, your only comprehensive online source for classic arcade and computer gaming emulation news and information. I'm Shane R. Monroe, your host. Welcome to the program. Well, folks, it's getting a little bit crazy out here in emulation land, even more crazy on the internet itself. After all of the ROM issues that we've already had to endure, things on the internet are even getting worse. As part of my editorial this show, I'd like to speak to you of something of interest. Sweden's music lyrics site, as you probably have already heard, that has been providing tens of thousands of song lyrics, not music, not songs, just the lyrics, to the public free of charge, has been yanked down. Since this site, quote, diminishes or destroys the value of musical work, unquote. And U.S. Congress has passed criminal statutes designed to thwart those who appropriate the intellectual property of others and distribute it freely on the internet, unquote. Remember the word intellectual property? It's something that we've been fighting with over and over again over the last several months with regards to classic arcade game ROMs. Well, I don't know if it's good or bad to note that this is not only being attacked from the ROM front, but with just about everything else as well. The technical consultant of this Swedish site was ordered to surrender his passwords, and all the equipment was seized. Now, I don't know about you people, but I'm about sick and tired of this digital protection intellectual property crap. It's going to get so damn tight on the internet that no one will even want to be there. The bottom line, businesses and companies want so damn much control over others that have built a marketplace, made a product or idea popular, and these guys are getting their asses kicked and the big businesses are taking over. Corporations like Microsoft and Disney will end up owning all aspects of the internet, striking out and destroying anyone that so much as even mentions the word Windows or Mickey Mouse on their website. You think I'm being overbearing? Think this can't happen? Keep your eyes open and watch it happen in the new millennium. As it comes down to this, we're going to have to open up our own country, not under the jurisdiction of copyright laws or governmental involvement, in order to have a movie or actor fan page, or even so much as speak our minds. The First Amendment's in grave danger here, people. And it's not just a U.S. custom. They're striking out at Sweden. They're striking out all over the world, where obviously, I guess, the First Amendment doesn't have any place, since it's not under the Constitution of the United States. That these new digital internet laws are designed to promote business welfare and screw the ordinary Joe. What is even worse are the lawsuits people are winning on litigious cases against people who purchase domain names that are the name of the other person's company. Frankly, I say, tough shit. If you weren't smart enough to register your company's domain name, then screw you. You deserve to have someone else take it. And it should be that person's legal right to put up whatever they want on that page, be it derogatory to the above-named company, porn, anything they want should be able to go up there. I believe it's called freedom of speech. Nice to see our constitutional rights being neatly removed from the system. It's so far as if I register the name RCA because my company is Research Consulting Associates, RCA, the electronic company, can come along and get a judge to make me give it up. My bought and name paid for name. Not only that, but I lose everything that I've built up. A reputation, a following, clientele, advertising rights. I lose everything because some other company who didn't give a rat's butt about the internet 5 years ago turns his butt and says, oh, I want that name back. Judge, how about it? Yeah, it seems pretty screwed, doesn't it? But that's what it's coming down to. What was once a frontier of freedom and the exchange of knowledge is now the pawn of big business and governmental control. Thanks, Bill, both Clinton and Gates, for taking a perfectly good world and screwing us all over. That's the end of my ranting for this show. On to what's been going on. I know this episode is very, very late, and I apologize. Originally, I was planning on having an interview with one of the main developers, but he's kind of uptight about this whole crackdown on modern emulation, so he decided to pass over this time. So you just get me. my business has been very busy lately. I've been working with celebrities down in Hollywood to create an umbrella website for these actors, these celebrities, to form themselves underneath, offering a group of actor websites that can promote themselves as well as each other. And that's going on very well, which is why I've been so busy, and you haven't seen me on IRC chat. Will it get worse? Probably so. But I do still intend to run Retro Radio as often as I can. I may have to make it a monthly show. I hope not. But that's what it's kind of wandering down to these days anyway. With regards to Retro Radio, I want to thank very greatly Eric Jacobson of Port Angeles, Washington. Eric was generous enough to send me two gigabyte hard drives to supplement my very poor hard drive system so that I could produce this show for you. He goes by the name Subnet. If you see him on IRC, thank him as well. I really appreciate it, Eric, and sorry I haven't gotten back to you sooner, but I figured you wouldn't mind a little Retro Radio plug. Thanks again. It'll make this show go a lot smoother. Anyway, folks, as I get to the pages ready for these celebrities, I'd appreciate it if you all went and took a look and give me your opinion and maybe pass the word around a little bit. This is going to be really my first major for pay type web design, web whatever you want to call it, internet content creation. And I'd really like it to take off and show the stars that we really can make a difference in their fan base and whatnot. Now that's providing the government or the people who actually own contracts with these people, like the movie companies, don't just screw us over left and right, which is probably coming based on the first part of this editorial. Sorry, I had to get that in there. Of other mention, I'd like to help out and promote a friend of mine who wrote DX Ball 2. You can get that off of Monroe World. It's really a cool game, and he's a really talented programmer. Trying to write games that people want to play, games that aren't bloated and doesn't require 500 megs of hard drive to install, but that are fun and addictive, and that's what I think DX Ball 2 is. It's a Arkanoid type clone, much better graphics, of course. So if you get a chance, check it out. Something along on the emulation front. Not really emulation related, but I'm sure some of you will be interested. The old classic game Scorched Tanks on the Amiga, probably one of the best-selling games ever created for the Amiga, is now being ported to the PC. We're not even in alpha stage yet, but there will be a page coming up, designed by yours truly, to promote this site very soon. This program has really kicked butt. If you thought Warheads was cool, or if you thought Scorched Earth was cool in the old days, you ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, folks, let's do an emulator update. There's not a whole lot to report, so this section won't take too long. MAME is now up to version 0.35 beta, both Windows and DOS versions. Probably the most important addition to this version, Rolling Thunder, the much anticipated, very cool game. Super Punch-Out now has a good set of ROMs. As version 0.35 matures, I'll have more to add. Read the README, of course, and the What's New to find out exactly all the new stuff, but that's kind of the highlights. There are dozens of other sites out for MAME support people. Monroe World is not one of them. I don't have time for the massive amount of mail that MAME would generate for Monroe World. So please do not write me messages or ask me technical questions on MAME. I'll just start ignoring you. I've been replying to everybody, but I don't think I'll be replying anymore. I just don't have the time. Lots of other sites. I don't support MameFAQ. That's over at Dave's Classics now. And thank you, DriveThru. As for Retrocade, things are still relatively quiet. The Windows version is coming along. And just a few more rogue non-working games to fix. And apparently the sound's a bit trash at this point, but progress is coming. As for the DOS version, they're working on an ASM core for Williams games. You can read this as they will be very fast. Although I don't know when it will get implemented or really what their progress is. I know they came up with a debugger that will help them make games faster. This all, of course, means that NARC, Smash TV, High Impact Football, etc., are coming to Retrocade someday. They almost have Tubin running, and I figure when Tubin is 100%, they'll go ahead and release the next version. It's time for an 8-bit flashback. There's no hidden sound on this week's 8-bit flashback simply because there's not a lot of sound in this game. What is in this game for sound is basically utilitarian. This time we're going to look at a very obscure but highly addictive title called Sci-Fi Trading Company. While I don't recall it ever being released for 16-bit machines, I do believe that there are versions floating around for the Atari and Apple 8-bit machines. Sci-Fi doesn't have anything to do with trading, really. It's a strategy game of very different proportions than I've seen on any other game. The story, basically, you're a starship captain transporting cargo from point A to point B. The distance between the 2 points increases with the difficulty of the level you select. The greater the distance, the less chance you'll have of succeeding. Of course, the higher the reward at the end as well. This game is hard, people. I mean, even the easy level is damn hard. Frustrating could be used to describe it at times, but the complementary word to that is also addictive. This is the sort of game that you can spend an entire weekend on and not feel like you got anything accomplished. Your goal is trying to transport cargo intact to the destination. Seems simple enough. You're the captain and you really don't do any work. Instead, you order around your crew members to perform tasks and do what you say to the best of their ability. Since you handpick your crew from a handful of individuals at the beginning of the game, you also control the type of individual that takes the different stations on board the ship, such as weapons, scanning, engineering, repair, and more. Each station is manned by a different individual, so you must deal with the individual's strengths and weaknesses while flying your mission. While one individual may be a crack shot on weapons console, as long as things are cheery, he may totally panic and go up in smoke if put under stress. Likewise, your navigator may tend to balk your orders from time to time if he feels you're incorrect in your assessment of the situation. Even robots can be used for crew members, and they too have their strengths and weaknesses. Part of the game's charm is figuring out the right crew combination and how to control them properly based on those selections. The game elements are fairly basic. As you try to reach your destination, enemy pirates attempt to stop you by trying to disable your ship so they can maraud it. So, should all your defenses and navigation fail, you will be boarded. Even I get boarded sometimes. And you will be pillaged and the game will be over. The name of the game should have probably been Priorities 101, since that is really what this game will teach you. And it will teach you in a hurry. As you get hit, you'll start taking damage, and key elements of the ship like life support, weapons, engines, and more will start decreasing in functionability until finally they quit working. Naturally, if you completely lose any critical system, your mission will screech to a halt, since if you lose navigation, you're a sitting duck. If you lose weapons, you can't return fire. If you lose repair, then you can't fix anything. If you lose environmental, your crew starts to die, etc., etc. So, back to priorities. A sophisticated message queue keeps track of all of your messages from the crew, and when the action gets hot, you will get tons of messages to deal with, from damage reports to worthless reports, if you got a weenie at one of the stations. You must deal with the issues quickly and prioritize, in a manner that will facilitate mission success. Now, this isn't easy. You have a handful of repair droids to deploy. The more you assign to a damaged area, the faster it gets repaired. But other systems may be failing as well. If your cargo area is damaged, for example, your cargo will start to go bad or be destroyed. Your score or monetary payment at the end of the game depends on the cargo quality and quantity that you deliver. But if you let life support fail in an area, you could lose a crew member. Even the damn repair droids get damaged, and you have to assign droids to repair the other droids. Now, above all this, don't forget your defenses like shields, navigation, which also must be repaired. This game is anything but slow-moving. You'll probably need to get jacked up seriously on caffeine or other stimulant before you play. You'll need the quick energy. Part of the beauty of this game is the intricate control system that for a change actually works in a game. With all of the types of message queuing and assigning and all that other sort of thing that you have to do in this game, it'd be really easy to make a control system that does not work. These boys thought about it pretty hard when they came out with this particular control system, and that really lends to the game's addictiveness as well as replayability. You know, I played the game a few times while compiling screens for the show, and I'll tell you what, my age is showing. I mean, I got my ass kicked every time I played. But in the old days, I used to be able to even play the hardest missions and still get to point B. although limping and damaged to hell. The game does keep you coming back, at least until you finish the easy mission. Then you don't feel like you have to play over and over and over and over again to feel accomplished. If you like strategy games that move fast, and you think you got a good handle on the idea of priorities, then this game is definitely for you. Now, this game certainly isn't for everybody, obviously, but for those of you who can appreciate this sort of a game, you will think it's the bomb. Now, the version I picked up off the net, it was a crack. The original protection was just horrid. I believe it was Accolade that originally let this game go. And the crack that's probably the one floating around the net requires you to basically change discs to side 2 of the disc before you finalize your crew selection. And there's a directory. The directory of the first disc kind of tells you that, but until you know exactly where to change discs, it may confuse you. So just before it says, are you sure this is the final crew you want? Use the emulator, change discs, and then hit yes, that's the crew I want, and you'll be fine. Go ahead and pick this game up. Once I open my 8-bit area, this game and all the other ones featured in Retro Radio will be available. But of course, there are numerous different places on the net to get these cool 8-bit games. It's a very refreshing game. You'll feel very refreshed at the type of gameplay it is and how very addictive it is. And of course, the replay value just can't be beat. So that was Sci-Fi Trading Company. Go ahead and pick it up. It's a 2-disc game, so if you only get one, you're not going to get to play it. But that was another one of those games that really kept me busy back in the old days. Sorry about the short show, folks. I'm doing my best here, and I'm kind of running out of time and energy here. I've got tons of other stuff to do today, and unfortunately, this kind of gets pushed down to that, revenue-generating type hobby work. So, folks, I appreciate you listening, and I see how many times the show's being downloaded, and it really makes me feel good that you folks are appreciating it. And thanks once again, Eric Jacobson, everybody. Give him a big hand. Say hi to him. Tell him he rocks because he provided me with hard drive space to make this show a reality. Sorry for such a short show, folks. I'm doing my best here. Running out of time, though, this week. Got lots of that revenue-generating work to do. So thanks again for stopping in. Big thanks to Eric Jacobson for his hard drive contribution. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And thanks, everybody, for listening. I've been logging the Retro Radio downloads as well as the streaming, and it really makes my heart full to know that you folks are watching the show, listening to the show, enjoying it. Don't expect too much more MP3 support. The Mac people will have G2 pretty soon, and that'll just go away. Well, folks, that will wrap up this episode of Retro Radio. I urge everyone listening to hop on over to www.monroeworld.com and check out all the other goodies that my site offers, including programs and multimedia clips that you just can't live without, my hopefully soon-to-be famous easy guides for getting the most out of your PC, my game emulation pages, and much, much more. As always, I do read and try to reply to every piece of email I get, and I do get a bunch, and I appreciate all of the kind words and suggestions you've all written for the show. My name is Shane R. Monroe from Retro Radio. Until next time, keep it retro.